Hi everyone, it's Jen Doe. So let's just get right in. Before we get in, I do not claim myself to have any special gifts. I do not claim myself to be in any way a psychic or anything like that. This is just my thoughts and an experience I had. So, 2 days before the news broke about Brian Kohberger getting a plea deal, I woke up one morning and I had like a knowing or a premonition or whatever you want to call it. And this knowing was so strong, and it was the fact that Brian was going to get found guilty at his trial, despite the evidence, despite the weak evidence, and there was not going to be anything particularly new at the trial that the state was going to bring, but he was still going to be found guilty and he was going to be sentenced. So, yeah, I just had that thought. It just came to me, and I was just like, oh gosh, that's just so strange. But this is sometimes how the justice system works, and evidence can come against you, even if you're not guilty, and depending on how it's been presented, the jury will deliberate and see it how they want to see it, because you can never understand how the jury are going to see it, and they will come back and say guilty, or they'll come back with a hung verdict. We've seen this in Karen Reid's first trial. We've seen this in P. Diddy's recent trial, for example. You can never know how the jury are going to go. But I was very sure that morning that when that voice just said to me, he's going to be found guilty despite the seemingly weak evidence. Now, other people might say the evidence is not weak. He definitely did it. From the beginning, right, I'm going to say this first. I learned about this case through mainstream media. But here's something I've learned about mainstream media, and most especially through COVID and all the things that the media was doing around COVID times. The media will tell you what they want to tell you. They are not that bothered about reporting the truth. They are not that bothered about reporting facts. They really, most mainstream media, they could not care less about the truth. They will just say things that favor them. They will say things they want you to believe, and they will say them how they want you to believe it. They will weave a story and they will present it to you in a way that that's what they want you to believe. And we've seen this over the last few years. People that have questioned the narrative have been labeled conspiracy theorists. I stopped watching mainstream media maybe 10 years ago. I only started a little bit again during COVID, and was mostly to see what was going on and try and stay up to date. I quickly turned it off, just after watching it just a couple of times, because you could already start to say some lies and start to question some things. So, back to the case. I learned about this case through mainstream media, and the way they presented the case in their cinematic way, with how they use the music and the language they use and the words they use, it sounded like they had the proof, and everything was so black and white, and absolutely he did it, he's guilty. But some things didn't add up for me, so I started studying about the case and started looking into the facts. And the more I got into the case, the more I realized that actually It wasn't black and white. And just for a fact, this is not me saying Brian didn't do it. I don't know the guy, never met him, have no connection with him, have no connection with his defense team or his family. I am just an observer. And I'm just someone thinking and looking at factual evidence, putting myself in the shoes of a juror. If I was to be on the jury, what would I be looking for? I would want the state to prove their case to me beyond reasonable doubt. Not just how they are saying it. I would want to look at the evidence that they've got. And the more I studied the case, the more I looked at the facts, the more I got to know exactly read the PCA, what the state's case was, the more I realized that actually some things didn't make sense. And over the last 1 year, it's like more information has to come out, especially after they changed the venue and had a different judge, and a few documents were unsealed. We got to find out more information, like what the roommates were doing on that night, the surviving roommates, I mean. And things became even more confusing. Things didn't make even more sense than before that. It's almost like when they were sealed, they didn't make sense. But after they became unsealed, they didn't make sense even more. So, yeah, it's a complex case. And here is where I stand. Brian, for all I know, he could be guilty. I do not have the facts to say he's 100% guilty. Neither do I have the facts to say he's 100% innocent, because I wasn't with him on that night, so I don't know where he was. I cannot vouch for him and say, yeah, he didn't do it. However, based on the evidence only, so this is not just about my logic, this is only evidence that the state has shown. If I was a juror in the case, the evidence does not prove to me 100% that he did it. There is nothing showing him in the building. There is nothing. The car that they say was, I don't know, suspect vehicle 1, you cannot even tell that it's his car from the still images that they've released, which I really don't understand how hard it is to capture an image from a camera, but I don't know. I'm not technical in terms of those things. But the evidence does not remove reasonable doubt for me. And that's where I stand. So brings us to today. He's admitted that he did it in court. He's said, yes, I did it. Yes, I came into the house and did it. And come sentencing, he's going to stand up again and say he did it. He's probably going to say a few words of, I don't know how he did it. He might do. He's going to admit his guilt, all those things. But I believe that if he is guilty, he did not do it alone. And in fact, I do not believe that there was just one perpetrator in this crime. From the timeline that the state has given, I do not see how one person came in, did the crime. We've had stories recently where they're saying that some of the victims fought back. So put that into consideration. Even if you have a lot of adrenaline flowing through you, and I'm talking as a veteran, even if you have a lot of adrenaline flowing through you and you can accomplish those kinds of things in a short amount of time, if you're having people fight you back, that's going to eat into your time then. Recently, I think there was someone on TV when it came out that there was blood on the chair in one of the rooms, and someone on TV, I don't know, Fox Nation or News Nation or whatever it was, said, yeah, the perpetrator was tired and he sat down on the chair. So he did what he did, and he even had time to sit down and take a break, and then did a cleanup all in a space of, I don't know, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. That does not seem feasible to me. And I firmly believe that there was more than one person. Also, we've heard before that this was a party house. How did that person know that, a large group of people could be coming back to the house for an after party? It was, I think, football night on that night or something. How did he know that, or she know that, they were not going to come in and find him in the act? So all those things do not make sense. Just because they don't make sense doesn't mean Brian is innocent, but it doesn't mean that he did it alone or he's 100% guilty. So I was, of course, like most people, conflicted when he said he did it. And the day before he took the plea deal, when it was somewhat, some news media started reporting, saying that he's accepted and he's, the court appearance the following day was like going to be a done deal. He's already accepted it. I know that some people said, if I was 100% innocent, I would not take a plea deal. And I thought this myself. I thought, if I really was innocent, there is no way I would stand in court and say and admit to doing such a heinous crime. And, with the parents of the victims in court, that there is no way I would come in and say that. But then I decided to educate myself about trials, just not to a great length, just do a little bit of research about trials and plea deals and plea bargains and false confessions. And I was actually shocked to find out that less than 10% of all cases in the US end up at trial. A huge number of cases do not go to trial, and they end up in either dismissed or plea bargains, or there's something else I can't remember right now. And so there is a lot of research out there. There is a lot of information out there that you can find if you wanted to understand how. There's actually TED Talks, lots of TED Talks, how an innocent person can actually admit to a crime that they didn't do, even a crime like murder. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. And even though I believe that, yes, definitely a lot of people in prison or in, jail are there because their family committed the crime, there is a large percentage of people that have not committed the crimes but have admitted that they committed the crimes. So that's where we are today. Is it possible that he felt he was going to be found guilty and he thought, I would rather not be found guilty when I'm innocent. I would rather send myself to jail rather than being sent to jail for a crime I didn't commit. Yeah, if you want to be controlling of your own destiny, yeah, you could do that. But if you study a bit more about false confessions, people being offered plea bargains when they've not committed a crime, there's also a hand. If the government wants to do something, I'm saying this as, again, someone with, someone as a veteran, as someone that knows how the government works a little bit. If the government wants to get you for something, they will get you. They have unlimited resources. They will sink you down into their system. You will be so far down that no matter what you try to do, they will keep piling shit on top of you. Even if you're trying to get up, any which way you think, I'm going to beat this, they will come after you. And in some of the cases where people have confessed to being guilty, the prosecutor has threatened their families, threatened their loved ones, threatened them with something, and coerced them to plead to being guilty even when they were not. So sometimes it's not just about you as the person. So you can say, right, I didn't do it, I'm not going to confess. But actually you find that the life of your loved ones is online as well. It's not just your life. Your loved ones are being threatened, you know. So I have since changed my mind in saying if I was innocent, I 100% would not take a plea bargain, just from the information I've just from educating myself and finding out this information. None of us know what we would do if you were in such a situation where there is so much pressure on you. If you don't believe me, go do your own research. Look at cases of people that have made false confessions, people that have taken plea bargains when they were not guilty. Study them. There's thousands, maybe even tens of thousands, maybe millions, who knows? Study them. And you will understand the tactics that the government uses and the prosecution uses against these people. And it doesn't matter. You might say, well, he was a criminology student, he knows how the system works. It doesn't matter. Once you're dealing with the government, once you're dealing with the feds, it doesn't matter what. You could have been a CEO of a company or whatever the heck. If they've decided that you're going down and they're taking you down, they will take you down no matter what. So, again, just to conclude, I'm not saying Brian is innocent. I do not know the guy, never met him. But this is just, this is where we are. What I'm saying is, just because he confessed does not necessarily mean he's guilty. And if he is guilty, I firmly believe there's a group of others that he did this crime with that also need to be made accountable for this horrible crime. Because, in my opinion, this is not justice for the families. And this is not closure for them. This is just horrible, any which way you look at it. And plea bargains are never, they're always just benefit the system. They're never to benefit the defendant, never to benefit the victims. They're just there to benefit the system. So this is where we are. Let me know in the comments if you follow this case, what you think. What are your opinions? Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.